Today we're talking about dolphin kick, and before we get into the details too much, let's look at the history of dolphin kick. Long before butterfly was even a stroke, swimmers and coaches around the world were looking for ways to improve breaststroke. Yes, you heard me right, they were looking for ways to improve breaststroke. In America in the 1930s, University of Iowa coach Dave Armbruster was looking for ways to improve his swimmer's breaststroke, and he worked with one of his better swimmers, Jack Sieg, to develop a new kind of kick for breaststroke, and you guessed it, that kick looked a lot like our dolphin kick. During the same time frame, a young physicist named Bill Wilson was spending a lot of his time in aquariums, and he was looking at the ways that fish and aquatic mammals propelled themselves through the water. Most notably, he noticed that fish would move their tail from side to side, and aquatic mammals would move their tails up and down. Now, he took this to his local YMCA to try out this new fish kick for himself. Wilson and Armbruster and Sieg started using this new dolphin-like kick to propel themselves through the water during breaststroke, and they found that it was much, much faster. With the addition of this new kick to breaststroke, butterfly was made a stroke, and dolphin kick, for now, took a backseat. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, American Jesse Vassallo started using 5 to 7 dolphin kicks off of his start and off of his turns to get under the wave of his competitors. In the mid to late 1980s, a young American named Dave Burkoff started experimenting with dolphin kick himself and found a lot of success, but I'll let him tell you his story.
All right, so Jay asked me to kind of give a little bit of history about, how I came up with the underwater dolphin kick and used and actually weaponized it in swimming. To make a long story short, I was one of those people who didn't really have the ability to show up to practice. I was one of those people who didn't really train that hard and would find any reason not to show up. And one of the ways my coach in college got me to actually start training more and harder was he said, well, if you want to work on that underwater stuff, you got to come to practice, and we'll work on it for 10 minutes after every practice. And that's what we did, and it was a great way for a coach to rather use a club but to use a carrot to get this donkey to move and to change my habits. And I was so excited about the idea of kicking underwater and doing something nobody else was doing and getting an advantage that it actually got me to practice, got me to train harder, and actually encouraged me to really take my swimming career seriously. We started, it was a progression, learning how to get into the best body position, head position, amplitude and speed of the kicks, individual kicks, were all something we worked on over time. You look at it now and everybody knows how to do underwater dolphin kick relatively well. Most people can kind of figure it out by watching others. We didn't have anybody to watch. We didn't have any benchmarks to figure this out. And so, we started 5 meters, 15. Then I finally figured out I'm a pretty, at the time, I was a pretty limber guy, and I could come up and do a wall touch with a hand, flip and push off the wall, and I could do it in about a second. And so, by my junior year in college, I was doing a whole 25 yards underwater. I'd spot the flags, take one stroke, hit the wall with my hand, flip, and push off and go another 10 to 15 off the wall. And so that's not something you just come up with, but it took a lot of time, a lot of training, a lot of extra training, which people don't understand. Critics of the underwater backstroke or underwater dolphin kick don't understand that it takes a lot of work. You've got to do a lot of hypoxic work. You got to do a lot of swimming after being oxygen deprived and teaching your body how to react to that too. So lots of moving parts. It took probably 3 years to really master it, and nowadays, if you don't do it, you're not going to be with the lead group.
Successes that Dave and a few others had using underwater dolphin kick at the onset of their backstroke races, FINA implemented a new rule preventing swimmers from dolphin kicking further than 15 meters underwater. In the early 2000s, two young Americans started pushing the limits of underwater dolphin kick again. Natalie Coughlin and Michael Phelps became known for having explosive underwaters, and they showed the value of using underwaters off of every single wall, not just the first wall in a race. This was a game changer for underwater dolphin kickers.